Alexa, stop. Mari, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the frame. So you're saying that nobody else can talk except me. So everybody is only interacting with me in the chat, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Danielle.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. You're both showing as Maria Claudia.
Yeah.
Yes, it's because we had a problem with Abhishek's login, so then he's joining from mine. I'm not sure if that's okay.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. Do you want if you want, we can troubleshoot from your other login.
No, it's because we had a change in the agenda, so the session was tomorrow, so Abhishek wasn't going to be there, and he jumped in today, so he doesn't have a login at all.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. Do you guys have slides or anything that you're going to be sharing? Do we want to go ahead and test that now?
Ran to a different room to check on them.
Sorry, I've got another room on as well. Don't mind me.
Good. Yes. I am going to share the screen now. Here it is.
Sharp, JB.
Hi, Danielle. I'm just creeping here just to make sure everything is going well. Maria, you doing okay?
Looking sharp. I think we're doing pretty well.
Awesome. Perfect.
Maria, that looks good. I can see that. Are you on PowerPoint?
It's Google Slides.
Okay, cool. It looks good. Do you want to go ahead and advance? Yep, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I can see it moving. Everything looks good. Everything's advancing. Cool.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think everything is good to go then.
That's awesome. All right, so it looks like we're just going to be waiting on some of your facilitators. And yeah, actually, I'm really curious. I'm going to look something. You said that was Pages?
Google Slides.
Google Slides.
Google Slides. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, I will be here if you guys need anything. So on to the right of your screen, right of the videos, there's a chat QA polls mod section. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the chat section is going to be visible to all attendees. So if you guys want to communicate, typing in that way, if people are asking questions or something, you can do that there. The mod chat is going to be where you can communicate with the other facilitators, myself as well, if there are any issues. That is only for speakers and facilitators. So if there's any issues, you have any questions, you can put it right there in that mod chat.
Perfect.
Cool. I'm going to pop back into the other room, see how we're doing there. I'll still be here, but I'm going to mute my mic real quick.
Perfect. Thank you, Danielle.
Not a problem.
Daddy, I think we're good to go, right? You're muted.
Yeah, I just want to familiarize myself with the platform. So that's the only thing I'm looking at. So you're going to be doing the screen sharing. So that's cool. I just need to make sure to keep. So I think I just need to work with you on the queue. On like,
yeah,
we need to switch the slides.
Or I don't know if you want to share your screen.
I can. I'm just not very sure if because this platform is new, that's why I'm very skeptical. But okay, I can try that. Hold on, just let me get the slides. Okay, I'm on Chrome, so slides. Okay.
It shares like Hangouts.
Yeah, it's a lot like Hangouts. That's true. Okay. Yes, because do you want me to like keep your name there, or what do we just leave it like that, or any changes do we need to make?
No, I just have to. They have like like an anti-harassment policy that I have to read out loud. So I have it on my phone. It's I have to read it. So I think I will just going to introduce myself and say like no, and I'm gonna read what I have to read for them. and then I think I'm just gonna let it go to you. Do you think I should turn my camera off? I don't mind. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, it's up to you. I'm good with anything, Mari. I'm all good.
Okay.
You
So
can-
yeah, I think I'm just gonna turn mine off, but I'm gonna be in the chat, and like when you say type in the chat, I can type. People are typing. In the other one, there was like 50 people, so.
Oh, okay. So it's not too much people. I thought there will be like hundreds of them, but okay, cool. Not that much. Okay.
That's what they plan, but
Okay.
it's like GLD. You don't know how many people will join on the day.
Right.
So
Right. That's true. Okay. Fair enough. Cool. I'll just try to share my screen. Share desktop. Fucking MacBook. Open system preferences. Yes, I'm okay with this. What is this called? Google Chrome. Yeah, Google Chrome. Yes, it's okay. Click lock to make the changes. Okay. Use the password. Sorry, Mari. Okay, Google Chrome. I'm gonna quit and reopen. Okay, I'm just gonna join in again. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm back. Okay, now let me open the slides and see if I'm able to share. Affiliate mobilization. Okay. Share desktop. Share. Okay, I can't see anything. Can you see anything?
I see us.
You see us?
yes,
There
I
it
see your
is.
screen.
You can see the slides now?
Now, yes. They're still in now they went away.
Okay, I think Mari, I think it'll be better if you share the slides because when I come to this window.
Oh, are you using two desktops, two monitors?
No, I'm using only one monitor.
Oh.
So try again.
It's okay, I can share mine because I already saw that mine works. So I can share mine. You just tell me when to change.
Okay, sounds good, Mari. Actually, hold on. I think we'll be able to do this. 1 second. Okay. I just specifically asked for this particular Chrome tab. So is this working?
Yes.
The reason I can't slides.
Present.
Okay. Present.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Okay. So for me, I think I can't see my own slides. I think that is the issue so far because I'm not able to see my slides. So I think it's best you share it because then I can see and I know what I'm talking about.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
So then I am going to share my screen.
Cool. Perfect. I think I'm just going to say go on and then you can click. I will only say go on when I want you to switch the slides. I think that'll be easy. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, this is perfect. Now I can see the slides. But can you see the slides?
Yes, I see the slides.
Okay, then it's
But
probably.
if I go, but if I am not going to be in the main session, like I'm gonna be on the slides.
Okay, cool, understood. Okay, that's good. Yeah, Mari, I think we can just do a quick dry run of like the session itself, and then I think we have like 12 more minutes, so we can do like a dry run in 5 minutes, and then we can get started. Perfect. You can go next. I mean, go on. Okay, so you start here, then you introduce yourself,
I read
it. Me, and you read the harassment policy. Great, and then I go on, and then I introduce myself, and then I will say, okay, what is the space all about? Why are we here today? Hi, Natalie. What is motivation? And then ta 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 ta. Okay, beautiful. Keep going. Okay. All right, it looks good. Can you see the text? The why is it relevant today and how can you stay motivated? It's visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. For great. The reason why we do something. Okay. Next. Okay. Motivation. All right. Okay. Quick question, Mari. So, because
Yes.
now I see four what do you call them? Equally placed squares. So we'll be able to highlight it. For example, if I say expand screen from my side, does it also expand for you?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
you have to. Everyone has to expand their own screen.
Okay, understood. Okay, thank you. Cool. All right, Mari, let's go. Keep going.
If I take my camera off, you can still see my picture, so it doesn't make any change.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, keep going. I think I just want to check all the slides and the animations. Okay, all right. Keep going. Okay. Uh-huh. So this is the question that we need to ask them, and we ask them to like probably to take note or like add something in the chat, right?
In the chat, yeah.
Okay, what issues can you identify as a focus for COVID-19 recovery plans and advocacy efforts for the youth? So essentially what you're saying is that we do have a COVID-19 recovery plan. However, what issues do you foresee in the plan itself? So we are not asking them to give us a plan, but we're saying what issues do you foresee in the plan? Okay, understood. Okay.
In general, like from their own insight and their experience in people.
So again, just to be clear, so we are saying that there's already obviously recovery plans in place because it's been 1 year since this pandemic has happened. However, do you foresee or like not foresee, but do you already notice any issues which are happening maybe in your own organization, maybe outside of that, so on and so forth? Okay, wonderful. Keep going.
Then
Beautiful. Okay, IJOG.
And then the activity, so then they can engage in the chat. And then you can give your example, and then you can ask them to share journaling.
Yeah.
You should know.
Yeah.
Do this on a monthly basis. Tips for speaking up. What they write also, and then it's like a recap of what they learned, and that's it.
Wonderful. Danielle, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi. Is there some sort of a timer that's going to be available on the screen for me to understand how much time is left, or like a pop-up?
Can you see, so to the right of the emojis on the bottom on that ribbon?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's a timer. So that right now is counting down until we're live.
Okay.
And then when we're live, it will change to red, I believe.
Okay.
And it looks like we have Talisa and Natalie on as facilitators for you guys. So for any of the chat and the YouTube moderator facilitator as well. And yeah, and if you guys just want to discuss how you're going to deal with questions or the chat and anything, yep, Natalie, we can see your words.
Yes, Natalie. Maybe do you want to like do a quick walkthrough of like how you're going to be working with us?
Hi, sorry, just joining. I had to join as an observer. Hello, nice to meet you all. I'll be helping to moderate in the chat. So any questions I found, I can share in the moderating group. And if someone wants to raise voice, I'll actually write in the moderator group, which is the best time for them to make them join the call and ask the question live. If you have anything you would like me to do,
Okay, understood. I think we will have a couple of touch points or like a couple of points in the session in the workshop when we will be asking them to give us some insights. The preferable idea here is that everybody has a chance to participate, so chat would be very good. However, if you believe that there is a scope of somebody speaking up, that's also welcome. However, I'm not sure as to how do you pick who's going to be talking. So that's where you're going to be stepping in and helping us, right?
Yes, normally they raise hands so we can see it in the Q&A. And okay. I just had a session below. So once I click on the hand, the people should have a pop-up. Correct me, Danielle, if I'm wrong. And they would advise if they want to join with video and audio. So I will just go in the moderator's chat, say someone raised their hand. join to ask their question, and hopefully they will join once I approve. Also, we share anything in moderator chat. Let me know if anything else.
Okay. Mari, you can help me with that, right? Because I'm not okay. You can help me with that. Perfect, wonderful.
Yeah, so what she was saying is when people raise their hand, you actually have the ability to bring them onto the stage, if you will. They will just have to accept to share their desktop. I think, Talisa, in the last session, someone raised their hand and then went away.
I clicked on the hand and it disappeared, so I thought I canceled it. I was freaked out.
Yeah, when you click it, it does go away, but they have to like accept to share their screen. And it's absolutely possible that they were like, oh no, what did I do? And then just went away.
Okay, I felt the same, but this time I'll know that I'll come in the moderator group to ask before so they don't interrupt in the middle of your talking. So that's it. And just a reminder that if you have any slides and anything, just to the other speakers, they better turn the camera off so it appears like whole page. Natalie and I will get off the screen as soon as we get closer to go live.
Yeah, we do have slides. Like I said, I think after 20 minutes is when I will be asking my first question, where I would ask people to interact. But however, I think I will probably ask them to share right in the end of the workshop and not probably in the middle sometime. So I think Mari is aware, so Maria can take care of that. So yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. The only thing is that I cannot turn my camera off when I'm not talking because you still see my picture. Or is it like when I turn my camera off, then people see just him?
Normally, you would have to completely cut your sound off. Correct me, Danielle, if I'm wrong, but she would have to exit if we would have to see him only.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you join as an observer, if you like rejoin as an observer, I believe that will go away. Do you have that option? Am I crazy?
Yes, we have the option.
Yes, I know what option it is. But the thing is, I'm sharing my screen, so as an observer, I cannot share my screen.
Let's try it. We got a minute.
Yeah, we can try it.
We can try it. Okay, so then I'm gonna leave and come back.
Okay.
I'm joining as an observer. I'm gonna share my screen. AIESEC.
Oh, we still see you.
Yeah, I think that's part of the new. We had a quick update last night because we had some people saying that they didn't like that they couldn't see who was in the room. So yeah, so even as an observer, we can still see your picture, but we can still see the slides. So that's good.
Maybe we could. The speaker could just remind people to make the slides bigger, just
screen.
Because if not in YouTube, it will appear all small. So just to be sure that you get the same interaction in YouTube as well.
Yes, I will remind at the beginning that they can make the slides bigger then.
Maria, are you still here? Did you leave?
Oh, I think she might have refreshed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go. We see you.
Beautiful. Cool. Okay, I think we are set and good to go.
Perfect. I'll turn my camera off. I'll be in the moderator chat, and good luck. Excited to hear this session.
Yeah, same for me.
Here, have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Tati, here you're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, I'm seeing your screen. I also see you. I think we just need to tell, like Danielle said, ask them to expand the slides, and they should be good. I'll turn off my camera initially until you talk, and then once you finish talking, then I can turn on my camera.
Perfect.
Okay. Like there's two of you on the screen is hilarious.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the people who are joining us. We will be starting very soon. Let's just give 1 minute for the people who are joining in Juno and also for the people who are joining us on YouTube to tune in to the session. Hello to everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. As I said, just 1 minute and we will be starting. Welcome, everyone. Hello, we see some people joining. To everyone who's joining, we are aiming at having an interactive session. So as you saw, we have the emojis and you also have the chat to talk. So that's great for the people who are in Juno and for the people who are in YouTube. We hope that you can also follow along with the exercises that we're going to have. But please feel free to interact on the chat if you're in Juno. And hello, everyone who's joining us. So we will be starting now. Welcome, everyone, to Meaningful Work for Young People, Defining Your Motivation. This is a session which will be delivered by AIESEC. For the people who don't know AIESEC, we are a youth-run organization who works for delivering meaningful experiences for young people to develop their leadership. And today we will be spending the next 45 minutes with all of you, hopefully helping you from our experience and from how we work, learning how to find your motivation, which is super important, especially in the current times. And I'm not going to spoil the session for you because you will know why motivation is important right now. But without further ado, we are going to start. So as I said, this session is about meaningful work for young people, defining your motivation, and it is a modern guide for a modern workforce, which is what all of us as young people are, and for also people of different ages who are right now are working in these unprecedented times. So right now, before we start, I want you to welcome you once again to the session and also to the summit. And as you know, some of us are joining through Juno, some of us are joining through other live broadcast platforms, and we want to give you a warm welcome. But before we start, we want to remind you of a few ground rules. So a bit of housekeeping first for us to know what are the basics. The first thing is, please note that this session is part of the Global Youth Summit. So we invite you to check all of the other sessions in your program. Please join them. They're amazing. And you can also see what are the other topics that we will be discussed, not just today, but for the rest of the summit. The second thing is, by joining this session, everyone who will have the opportunity to speak consents to their image and audio being broadcast. And by participating in the Global Youth Summit, you have agreed to behave professionally, respectfully, and be culturally sensitive towards other people. So let's remember to promote the principles of respect, diversity, and inclusion, as well as to actively prevent and not engage in abusive behavior of any kind that leads to any harm, prejudice, discrimination, or harassment against any person. If you do not adhere to these principles or Summit's code of conduct, you will be removed from the session and banned from the rest of the event. And the organization that nominated you will be notified of these actions. And for anyone who at any moment needs some support or who feels unsafe, please remember that we have a safeguarding team who's moderating our interaction on the Juno platform, the live broadcast chat function, and all social media channels. So should you at any point feel unsafe or witness any type of concerning behavior, please reach out by sending an email to the email that you're going to see soon in the chat, which is safe@globalyouthmobilization.org. and you will be able to get in touch with the team for virtual help. All of the information that you've sent to that email account will be kept private and confidential, so please do not hesitate to reach out if you need any support. And now that we know that the ground rules are based on respect and being culturally sensitive, we can start with the session. So I am going to be introducing myself. My name is Maria Grau, and I am currently Global VP Brand and Public Relations for AIESEC, as I said. And my pronouns are she, her. And I am going to be inviting the person who's going to be doing the most of this speaking right now, Abhishek, my colleague.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're joining us from. I'm really excited and glad to be here today. I want to take a couple of minutes to introduce myself very quickly. My name is Abhishek Tatineni. I'm from India. I'm currently joining you from Montreal, Canada, and I'm here at the global head office of AIESEC, which is the organization that Maria and I both represent. I work as the VP platforms, and I'm here to talk to you about something which is very close to my heart, which is finding meaning in your work and contributing to the betterment of the world. And I'm here to share a few insights from my organization and also from my own personal experience in doing so over the last many years. So Maria, whenever you're ready, you can go to the next slide and then we can begin. So what is the space all about? I'm going to be running it down in 4 very simple questions, which is, first, we want to understand what exactly is motivation. That is a buzzword that we hear ever so often. We want to discuss why is it important specifically in the workplace, because that is what we want to talk about, and how motivation, despite being a buzzword, is extremely relevant in the current context of COVID and virtual work, especially when people are behind screens and they don't have a lot of scope of human interaction depending on where you're from. And the last thing is that we know that motivation does exist, but how do you sustain motivation is the big question that all of us probably ponder upon many a time. Maria, you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Cool. So let's talk about the first couple of things here. Again, if I'm going too fast, because I do have a tendency to talk a little quickly, please feel free to type in the chat for me to go slow, and I'll be more than happy to oblige. But yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. Motivation, of course, in the very simplest of terms, in a nutshell, is the reason why we do anything. In AIESEC, we specify the why quite a bit, because we believe. How do you translate? I think there's a question about how do I translate to Spanish. I think one of the moderators could help you with that. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead. The reason why we do anything is, of course, the simplest way in which you can talk or describe motivation. However, in AIESEC and where I come from, we spend a lot of time and we emphasize a lot on the why, because we believe that when your why is not strong enough, we believe that your motivation probably is not going to be very sustainable. It's going to be temporary. It's going to come and go, but it will probably not remain with you forever. Go on, please. Thank you. So in our belief, we believe, and even in my own personal belief, it is very important that the work that you do needs to be connected with you in your essence, in what you do and why you do, more importantly. And that is the only way that we believe you can be happy and fulfilled, especially in your workplace. Because a lot of people sometimes probably debate this, but I firmly believe that it is your own individual responsibility to find those pieces of work which can actually enable you to enjoy your work and take the most out of it. Cool. Maria, go on. Right. Now, however, why are we talking about this right now is where I actually want to share a little bit of data here. You can go to the next one. So our context, like our present context, like it's been 1 year since I think all of us have been spending time behind our screens, where we did not really interact with a lot of people, where working, the definition of work kind of changed overnight. And none of us were obviously prepared for this. None of us were prepared for a world where human interaction was not possible. And the reason I keep emphasizing a lot about human interaction is that a lot of people, when they work, they derive a lot of energy from the people that they work with, the place that they work at, or your purpose is sometimes attached to things outside of that. So especially it becomes very, very difficult for the youth right now, which is why this conversation becomes super important to have. You can go to the next slide, Maria. Thank you. So in AIESEC, one of our aspirations as a youth-run organization is to be the global youth voice. One of the things that we want to do is we want to be listening to people around the world, gather their insights, and create products and programs which actually cater to these particular requirements of the youth. So one of the things that we do is something called the Youth Speak Survey. We run it annually, and more often than not, we get responses from around the world. And these are just a few numbers that I wanted to present to you here. In 2020, when we conducted this survey, we got about 57,480 answers from about 157 countries. Now, the average age here is about 24.7 because we are a youth-run organization. So it is extremely important for us to understand our audience. So as you can see, there's some more data here about where these answers come from in terms of the regions and in terms of gender representation. But what I want to point out to you is in the next slide, which is really interesting. Yes, what is the most, so one of the questions that we asked here was, what is the most important objective that people have here? And the answers that we received, or the preferences that we received here, were really interesting. And that speaks a lot about youngsters today. The first thing, if you can see, an overwhelming response by 43% is to be able to have positive impact and have meaningful work. As a youngster myself, I spent quite some time in AIESEC, but when I was doing my undergraduation, it was really important for me when I was coming out of my college or my university that I had to find something which would actually not just financially sustain me, but sustain me in a far more what would you call it, a foundation. In my very foundation, in my values, it had to be something which would excite me. It had to be something where I could understand that my contribution is actually meaningful. I am doing something which is making people's lives better, or maybe I'm advancing a certain cause, or so on. And surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, that is exactly the voice of the youth right now. You can see that there's a lot of people, about 43%, to do that. And then, of course, you have other responses here where people want to develop their skills. They want to become specialists, they want to become leaders, and they want to develop experiences in different fields. So you can see that youngsters have a lot of curiosity. This generation wants to do more, be more, and contribute a lot. But going ahead, I wanted to show you a few more things. Maria? Thank you. So we also asked them subsequently another question, which is that, okay, we understand that you want to join an organization, or you want to find these particular characteristics when you start your work. But if you had a reason to leave your work, what would that be? Would that change your answer? And no, the answer still remains the same. There's only like a 1% difference here, which is amazing because when you really think of it, this means that people are extremely aligned to their beliefs and their core values and their needs, which is that I still want to make a positive impact on the world. And one of the reasons why people might want to leave their work is because of the same reason. You can go on, Maria. Amazing. So of course, we also wanted to expand this because we don't only want to talk about our own survey, which we've collected, but we also wanted to expand the horizon a little bit and talk about one of the people that we actually did work with, which is the ILO. We collaborate with them every so often. And one of the things that they did is they ran a survey recently, which is about the youth and COVID-19, how it has impacted jobs, education, rights, and mental health, and so on. So one of the things which I think is very distressing for me and a lot of people around the world is that because we were very unprepared for this, I think this is something which took us by surprise. And for a generation which is so interconnected, so well networked with each other, they're constantly on social media, they want to share their opinions, they want to open conversations, they want to have a feeling of community. About 50% of young people are possibly subject to anxiety or depression. Now, in comparison to that, a further 17% are probably affected by it. Now, why is this concerning? Especially, why does it concern this particular session? Is because of the very reason, which is that after a point of time, motivation does not necessarily sustain. Maybe there's only so many things that you can do to keep yourself enthused about the work that you're doing. We can go further, and here is where I want to ask you a question now, which is that you've spent some time working from home, I believe, regardless of where you're from. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that all of us spend at least 6 to 9 months probably working from home or doing something totally new. Now, we also do know that COVID recovery plans have been taking place in different countries and territories. There have been different advocacy efforts for the youth. Now, if I could ask you, what issues do you identify as a focus in these recovery plans and advocacy efforts for the youth? What do you think people should be focusing on, especially when people have taken or will be taking initiatives in the future? This is something which will greatly help us in understanding what should we be focusing on, especially when we want to be advocates for the youth. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about the question, and I look forward to a lot of you writing it on the chat. And I think you can start right now. In the meantime, I'm just reading the chat, and oh, that's wonderful that some people took part in the survey. That's beautiful. All right, if anybody has their opinion, if anybody wants to write, we are more than happy to see those in your chats. I'll give it one more minute. Maybe you need time, so I'm just going to give one more minute. Okay, I see a few messages. Relationships. Okay, I think that is a very very valuable insight. Thank you, Alan. Mental health recovery, absolutely. Domestic violence, definitely. I think that's one of the things which definitely affected women negatively during the pandemic. Education in schools and buildings, transition back to normalcy in social settings, safe spaces, that's a very valuable input. Mental health and education, as well as households, yes. So a return to normalcy is the theme that I'm getting from all your different comments. And another important focus is, of course, on mental health and creating safe spaces. Thank you so much for these insights, because I think these education and food system, thank you. I'm just going to give one more minute because I feel like now the responses are coming in. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes more for people to type in. Communication and relationships, I could not agree with you more. All right, I think that's okay. Okay, we have one more. Didn't find other than COVID. I like how the perspectives are extremely different from each other, which makes it all the more valuable. That's also one of the things that we really enjoy here in AIESEC, which is the diversity. So thank you so much. This because these are really, really interesting responses. Okay, let's go ahead with that. Thank you, Maria. Okay. Now we want to talk about the last point here, which is how can you stay motivated, right? Because that, I think, is the foundation of this entire session, which is that all of us are aware, okay, this is what motivation is, why is it important, and why is it relevant, but how do you stay motivated? So let me bring you a little bit of a story, or not a story, but like experience back home from AIESEC. You can go to the next one, Maria. Yes. So a little bit of context about AIESEC, in case you are not aware of it. We are the world's largest user and organization. We have about 30,000 plus volunteers in about 110 plus countries and territories all around the world. And we predominantly focus on the youth, because we are a youth-run organization for the youth, by the youth. And this is basically the range where most of our volunteers, our customers, and our primary stakeholders, like which is the youth, fall under, which is 18 to 30 years old. You can go to the next one, Maria. Thank you. So one of the things that we believe in is that when you undergo experiences in challenging places, and when you especially have practical experiences, one of the things that we believe is that this develops leadership in you. And these are the different leadership qualities we believe that a person essentially develops in himself, herself, or themselves. When we talk about these different qualities, one of the things that we focus on is making sure that our customers, our members, our key stakeholders are solution oriented. The reason we emphasize a lot on this, and we actively encourage people to pursue this, is because we believe that when you're solution oriented, you transmit positivity through uncertainty which has encompassed all of us. And that's one of the reasons why we ensure that people are solution oriented. We deliberately request them to face challenging situations, and try to develop an approach through which they're able to solve that situation. But that would of course be incomplete if a person is not self-aware. And the reason we also emphasize a lot on making sure that people are self-aware is because we believe that when a person is self-aware, the person essentially sits down and they understand and they live their personal values. Because of course, at the end of the day, we talk about value based leadership, we talk about value driven lives, and that's something which is very important to us. Now, of course, you must be wondering, how do we do that? We have this model, which is great. We are asking people to be more solution oriented, more self-aware, but we do follow a process. This is just not a motivation session where we come and we say, hey, why don't you be more solution oriented? We do have a process which we follow. Maria? Yes. Now, one of the things that we are very proud of in AIESEC is this beautiful graphic that you see in front of you. This is called the inner journey and the outer journey. In essence, in theory, what we believe and something that we have encountered, witnessed, and celebrated over the years is this journey. We believe that regardless of what the experience is in AIESEC, or for any young person who is in a practical experience in a challenging environment, we believe that a person goes through an inner journey, which is that you have a journey of self-reflection, and you also have an outer journey, which is you interact with the external environment in a lot of different ways, which actually enable you to reflect stronger. So this is not a one-time thing. We believe that this is a constant, a continual process which carries on day in and day out, even if the person is aware or not aware. And we spent a lot of time sitting down asking ourselves, okay, what exactly does a person go through when they are put in a challenging environment and a practical experience? And then this is the first thing that we realized. You can probably read it, but I want to drive your attention to a couple of points here, which is that a person usually sets their own personal goals. Like if I am in this session, one of my personal goals could be that I want to communicate extremely clearly, and I want to make sure that my point is carried across to all of you. And that becomes my personal goal. And when I'm done with this session, I would probably reflect and take the feedback about how I actually did. Was I able to moderate myself well enough? Was I able to manage my time well? So basically, like from the example, what I'm trying to tell you is that in any experience, you will be able to find all of these different things. More importantly, you're able to understand your values and reinvent yourself. Now, of course, only looking at this half would not make sense if you don't look at the other half, which is that you have individual responsibilities and you have your different goals, because obviously most experiences enable you or need you to interact with somebody who is not you. And in that, what happens is that you are placed in a challenging role or an environment, and you interact with multiple stakeholders, all of who teach you a lot of interesting things. Like for example, when I am here, based on the conversations that I have seen so far in the chat, I already learned quite a bit in terms of, I was thinking about a few things, but some of you surprised me with your answers, which makes me think that, okay, there are other conversations which are out there, which I need to be more inclusive of when I have a similar kind of conversation with my friends, with my family, or whoever that is. And the final thing, which I really like about AIESEC and young people, is that they create a support system for themselves. And this is something which is super important, especially right now. In my own personal experience, my support system is my team that I currently live with here in Canada. And Maria happens to be one of them. So why is this very important is because obviously as young people, like I said, we are very, very interconnected. We are networked. We like conversations. We like sharing. We like driving communities, and we like being part of them. Cool. But let's go forward a little bit and see what else can we talk about. So the inner journey, like I mentioned, Yeah, thank you, Maria. The inner journey, like I mentioned, is the internal change which happens within the individual. The outer journey is the individual's interaction with the external environment. Now, we firmly believe, and we've seen this happen many, many times, is that when the combination of these two they combine together, it ensures that what someone will learn from the experience will stay with them forever. Now, what we mean by this is that we encourage people to reflect, but we also encourage people to interact. We believe that it has to be a healthy combination, a balance between both these things. And that is the reason that I personally stress a lot. And I constantly catch myself reflecting on certain experiences. Go ahead, Maria. Thank you. Cool. So now here is where we will have a chance for you to try this inner journey or an outer journey. But of course, we are not going to directly ask you the questions from those slides, but we will try a different way, which is by asking you a few questions. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to ask people questions. So I want you to take a couple of minutes, and I want you to think about these things. And if you feel safe enough, you can go ahead and you can actually share this in the chat. The first thing I want to ask you is the most challenging work experience that you've personally had, or professionally had for that matter, in your life so far. Then I want you to focus on what are the biggest conflicts that you've had in these challenging work experiences, because more often than not, something that we've observed is that a challenging work experience has some kind of a conflict. Now, I want you to think about the first couple of questions, and then we will go to the questions after that. I'll probably give you maybe 3 minutes. I think 3 minutes would be good to like think about it, because some of you might be, some of you probably are very nice people like me who don't get into a lot of conflicts. But inevitably, I realize that regardless of who you are, conflicts do happen to you. But yes, I'm going to give you a few minutes, and you can think about it. And whenever you're ready, you can just type it in the chat. Right, I think we have a couple more minutes. You don't need to share. I will still ask you some more questions. I just need you to write it down on a notepad or some place where you can actually document these things, because I think it'll be good for you even after the session to reflect on these things. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, we do have one response, a couple of responses. We do have a few responses. That's amazing. I'm just going to give a couple more minutes though, because some people might have time. I'm just going through the chat while you think about it. All right, I think that's, if anybody needs time, feel free to take more time, but I'm just going to continue in the interest of time because we only have 45 minutes. But I'm really sorry to hear about all your conflicts. I've been going through the chat, and I understand that all of you've had different types of conflicts. Now, Maria, could you go back to the previous slide, please? I also have to ask you a couple more questions, which is that even in these challenging experiences, challenging work experiences, or the biggest conflicts, were there moments outside of that? Because when I talk about a work experience, I take a period of time as one work experience. For example, currently I work for AIESEC International, and that becomes my experience. Inside these experiences, we definitely have challenging work experiences and bigger conflicts. But are there times in these work experiences where you actually enjoy things? Were there times where you felt like you learned something out of these? So I want to ask you these couple of questions and give you 2 more minutes to think about it, because we've covered the part where it was challenging. Now I want to cover the part where you actually enjoyed something in these experiences and took something back from it as a learning. All right, I hope some of you or all of you have your answers ready. Cool. Yes. Thank you for yes. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, that's exactly the point that I was trying to make. Thank you so much. Maria, can you go to the next slide, please? Amazing. Sorry, you can go to the previous slide, the example one. All right, amazing. Cool. So while you still think about it, I'm going to share my own example here, because that's something that, again, it's very close to my heart, about challenging experiences. So a little bit of context about myself. I consider myself to be an introvert. In 2012, when I joined AIESEC, until that point of time, I was somebody who was not very socially active. I did not really know how to hold a conversation, and for me, it was really difficult. Because of AIESEC, or okay, let me just talk about the fact that because of the fact that I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, I applied for one of my work experiences to be outside of India, which is where I come from. For 22 years of my life, I've lived in India in a very comfortable environment, going to a college which was close to home, speaking a language which is extremely familiar to me, and so on and so forth. So for me, when I left India for the first time to go abroad, it was very, very difficult for me. But I want to share with you an experience which is a lot more recent, which actually is from 2017. So in 2017, I had a wonderful chance to be part of the team which was actually taking care of Egypt as a country, and I spent 1 year in Cairo with 20 other people. Now, in these 20 other people, 15 people were from Egypt. Then I had people from Europe. I had people from South America. I had people from Asia. I had people from North America. I had people from all over the world coming together with one single purpose, which is that we wanted to make sure that our team was a high performing team, and we were actually able to impact the youth of Egypt as much as we possibly can. Now, however, we realized that we were in constant conflict with each other. Now, as professionals, as young people, you also probably are in the same frame of mind sometimes, which is that you think that, hey, how can this person ignore something so obvious? If I want to get from point A to point B, this is the only way we can do this. Everybody should listen to me and everybody should understand me. So why are they not being able to understand? And that is when I realized that if I have this thought in my mind, and obviously this realization came a lot later, so I don't want to tell you that I was really smart and I immediately figured it out. Of course I was a little worked up when I realized that people didn't get what I wanted to do. They did not understand my ambition, and they did not believe that I was also working towards the same purpose. Now that is when I realized that because of our cultural context, because of how we are raised, because of the different things that we see and interact with, it entirely shapes our perspective. For example, I am from India, right? What do I mean by that is that I am someone who likes talking. As you can very clearly see, I'm somebody who likes to express by having a lot of conversations, by expressing myself and communicating, sitting down with someone and solving this. But that was not probably the case with somebody who was from a totally different continent, because they wanted to get straight to the point. They wanted to understand what is the resolution and they wanted to move on with it. But that is not how I was brought up. I was always taught to sit down and have a conversation. Now I'm not saying that there's one person who's right or one person who is wrong, but basically the fact that there was a conflict which existed. It only resolved when we had a conversation, a heart to heart conversation within our team, where we were vulnerable with each other, and we realized that at the end of the day, all of us are looking at one goal. The way we get to this goal is obviously going to be very different, because it would not be doing justice to their own individual strengths if you ask everybody to play by the same rules, right? And that is when we realize that yes, we do have conflicts because we do not necessarily know how to communicate with each other. There are different values which matter more to us. For example, one of the values I personally have is equity. I believe that everybody should get opportunities which are deserving of them, meaning that if you are someone who has a lot of potential and you want to do something big, then you should get an opportunity to do that. If you're somebody who is okay to have this particular job, then that should be completely fine. We cannot expect everybody to sail in the same boat. And for me to believe that this should be the most important thing for everybody was not fair for myself and everybody else, because obviously everybody was brought up in a different manner. So that is my example, which is that I went to a totally different country, which is Egypt. I had to learn how to work with people from Egypt who are very passionate about a lot of the things which did not fall under my purview. These were not the things that I grew up with. So for me, it was very hard to connect. But once you find a common point of connection, once you understand your why, that is how I started this entire session, is I spoke to you about the why. Once you understand the why, you understand the person a little better. If you find somebody who's screaming on you and you're very annoyed about the fact that somebody is upset with you and you are upset, you totally have the right to feel upset, no doubt about it. But what would also help in the situation is to just have an honest conversation. But I will talk a little bit about that later. Maria, you can move forward. Cool. Now I think I'm going to take you to the second activity, which is that you have gone through this experience. You shared this experience in extensive details, and I really appreciate you for that, because this is high context communication. That's something a person from India, somebody like me, really enjoys. So what I want you to ask is take again a few more minutes and think about, what does this particular experience say about your personal values? I saw some conversations where people spoke about being in leadership positions. I saw some conversations about where you said that you were trying to interact with the customer, but the customer was not very friendly. So, what does this say about your own personal values? And then comes a bigger question, which is that, does your workplace actually align to your personal values? I want you to take time and think about these two questions and answer them in the chat whenever you can. All right. Because we have a few minutes left. I mean, only a few minutes left. I'm just going to go ahead. But I want you to take these questions with you and think about. Now, the last thing I want to tell you before I wrap up the session is that when I showed you the inner journey and the outer journey, again, something which is something we are really proud about, it's very important to reflect, to constantly sit back and reflect, because motivation in its very essence is something which does not necessarily sustain by itself. It's very important to connect your motivation to something that is sustainable. And what is sustainable is your values, the things that you grew up with, what really means to you, what exactly drives you as a person is what needs to drive your motivation, right? So that is why it's very important, even in your workplace, that you should always identify what are the what, or not rather not what, but how do these values of yours actually align to your workplace. Maybe all your values will not completely align, but I'm pretty sure there will be some values which will align. When you align these few values, you should hold on to them and make sure that you practice them a lot more. And more importantly, you should be able to feel free to experience these values and talk about these values to your co-workers, because if your co-workers don't understand you, it's very, very likely that you will still run into conflicts. Now, just because you have one honest communication, your conflicts are not going to magically disappear, but at least that will open up space for conversations which you can actually carry forward in the future, right? So I want to leave you with these some of these tips and some of these thoughts which I want you to take back and think about after this workshop, which is, ask yourself, can you go back, Maria? Sorry. Thank you. Why do I work in this place? Like, what made me come here? I can tell you that I'm here in AIESEC because I believe that AIESEC is actually making a change to the world. I believe that AIESEC positively impacts people. And for me to be associated with AIESEC, I take a lot of pleasure. I take a lot of pride in being here. Is your job aligned to how you want to develop your experience? Now, if you have not asked yourself this question before, it's not too late, my friend. You should really sit down and ask yourself, what do I want to get out of this experience? And it really doesn't matter what your job is, because in every job, you should be able to take out something that you really want to like. When I went to Egypt, I knew that I am not a person who is extremely energetic. I'm not a person who wants to jump from the rooftops, but I know that people in Egypt are extremely passionate, and I really wanted to understand where their passion comes from, because I wanted to learn that for myself. I had an amazing opportunity to travel to a lot of countries, talk to a lot of people, and from them I learn a lot of things. Then a last thing I want to ask you is, what changes do I need in my workplace to change? Of course, you have the opportunity to change a few things. If something is drastically misaligned, of course you have to sit down and talk to your superior, to your team leader, to your boss, whoever it is, because these conversations matter. You can go to the next one, Maria. And this is not a one time thing. You should do this on a monthly basis, because the world is changing a lot. When people change, they gain new skills, they gain new insights, they gain new perspectives. Even if a person looks like they are closed, they probably are not closed. Maybe internally they are actually changing. So please give yourself the chance to go and express this. You can go on, Maria, and communicate your needs accordingly. My friend, you need to do that. If you have not done that, it will be very hard for you to sustain your motivation, because they don't even know what you need. They don't know what keeps you motivated. If they don't know, how are they going to communicate that? You can go to the next one. And the last thing I wanted to leave you is a few tips for speaking up quickly. And yes, so I have this one golden rule, which I really enjoy. I share this with everybody I meet, which is that treat people the way you want to be treated yourself. Right? This is literally like the golden rule of communication, the golden rule of relationships, which is lead by example. If people don't understand your words, they will understand your actions at the end of the day. And that is the greatest motivation for me, which is when I see somebody who's being remarkable, I really enjoy learning from them, having a conversation with them. And of course, understand your audience. Of course, everybody is not going to listen to the same tone in the same way. I can't have a beautiful conversation with everybody, but maybe I can have a meaningful one, right? Yeah, and be assertive and firm. Don't beat around the bush. Sometimes if you need to be assertive, it's okay, because you can't allow yourself to be not assertive, because at the end of the day, you're going to be suffering. And the last thing is, be honest. Be completely honest with the people that you work with, because they deserve your honesty. And the last thing is, you learn from your experience, because I believe in every experience there is something you can learn from. You can go on, Maria. Cool. So I want to leave you with the last thing, which is what did you learn in the space? I hope the space was enjoyable. I hope the space was meaningful. I hope the space was valuable to you. And I think the presentation is already shared. I really, from the bottom of my heart, wish that you can sit down with these questions, think about it, reflect on them, and actually act upon them. And you can, of course, contact AIESEC if you want to learn more about the inner journey and the outer journey, because that is something which is really good. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful rest of the day. We are finishing on time, so you can be in time for the next session.
Thank you very much, everyone. And for the people who were asking about the session link, we shared it already. So you can also have access to the slides. Thank you very much. And I will share it with you here as well, one last time, so you can access the slides. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Everyone, have a good rest of the day, rest of the evening, wherever you are, or a good night if you're in Asia.